No, not that. That's just the fan art that we got to get into. So we're going to be covering Classically Abby, and mainly because she had a video that I really should have covered before July 4th, but I was gone, so I didn't have a chance to cover it. So this is me being incredibly late to that, covering her video about how to celebrate July 4th like a real American, because apparently there are not real American ways to support July, to do July 4th. Wasn't aware, but if it's true, big if true. We'll get to the fan art section first before we get into that, though. The first one is from Memory Martin. Finally found some time to get the colors right for Gumi Suris. We'll find some time to finish it after my summer classes and birthday. I fucking love this. Gumi Suris is just adorable. Maybe it's just the part of me that likes dragon-type Pokemon, but I love Goodra. Not for any of the weird reasons for, like, people who like Lucario and also Gardevoir. Not for those reasons. I just think Goodra's a very well-designed Pokemon. I love slime designs. I don't know if you guys could tell with certain things on my channel. But the next one we have is from Top Possum. Car liveries are one of the only types of art I know how to do, so of course I had to make a Suris-themed one for a Mazda MX-5. Can you imagine someone rolling up with this car? Can you imagine that? That would be like, I don't know how I would be able to respond. I don't. Bando the Husbando, thank you for resubscribing. I greatly appreciate it. So to the Suris Mobile. Salem says, I can imagine you driving this. I'm sure you could. The last fan art we have here is from Ivana Dragmeyer. They said, I'm not sure if this falls into fan art or a shitpost, but I'm going to meme on Call and his 70 alternative accounts. So, we haven't covered Call for an Uprising in a while, but let's go ahead and take a look at the awkwardly Call fan art.
Hi, it's me. I'm not dead, which is an awful surprise considering how many people wrote my obituary yesterday preemptively in case I did die. But I didn't, so suck on that.
His channel just won't die, but that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Thank you very much, Ivana Dragmeyer. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and get right into talking about Classically Abby. Again, the video is called How to Celebrate July 4th Like a Real American. So like real Americans, we are going to do the American tradition of watching a conservative woman explain things to us on the internet.
Crew, and welcome to today's video.
That's loud. That's very loud.
Where we're going to be talking about 5 ways to be a real American this July 4th.
Okay.
If you are new to my channel, here we talk about classic living and traditional values, and I would...
Speaking of traditional values, Salem Sky, of course I pronounce ketchup like ketchup. How do you pronounce it, you fucking weirdo?
Love if you would consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. And if you haven't already subscribed to my Substack newsletter...
Okay, nope, you are shilling yourself. We have a rule here. You don't get to shill yourself. I shill myself. If you have not hit the subscribe button already, or the like button, maybe consider doing so. That would be awesome. I have a Patreon as well. Maybe consider going to those things. But most importantly, do you like the content? Do you like the stuff that I put out on the channel? If so, maybe you should consider rewarding yourself with something from DDLG Playground. You can get it for 10% off if you use coupon code Suris. But I hear you. If you don't like my content, that's fine too. There are dildos and plugs on there. You can use the coupon code anyway to get something to go fuck yourself with. I'm not going to stop you. You live your best life. Just live your best life with a discount, please. That said, let's go ahead and continue the video from Clorsically Orby.
You will get access to a ton of...
Nope.
Citizen doesn't actually mean that you are a true American in the sense that you love this country.
So a true American has to love the country? So anybody who's... So a 5-year-old who doesn't know what their feelings are on America yet is naturally a true, or not a true American. Interesting.
And you appreciate what it stands for. Many Americans nowadays, also known as leftists, want to tear down this country, and they think that that is patriotic.
So the patriotic thing about a lot of leftism is that we recognize that the country as it stands, our country, the United States, is not super great. It actually could be a lot better. And one of the ways you can make it better is by recognizing institutions in the United States that are not great and do deserve to be torn down. There's nothing wrong with that. Wanting to improve your country is not a bad thing. Also, it is amazing that we managed to get the thumbnail image this quickly. Jesus.
They think that patriotism means tearing down the basis that this country is built on, which is what makes it so amazing.
Abby, I have a question. What basis was America built on? Because from where I'm standing, America was built on slavery. Like, literally, slavery as an institution is a thing that deserved to be abolished, and yet it is a thing America was built on. 110% built on the backs of African slaves, and yet it was an institution that was integral to American society for a long time. The patriotic thing to do with that institution was to remove that institution, Abby. Come on, Abby. This is very easy.
The foundations of America are what make it such a beautiful and wonderful country.
You should say what those foundations are, Abby. Say it with your full chest.
So today I want to talk about 5 ways that you can celebrate on July 4th as a real American.
Okay.
So let's get into it. The first way to be a real American is to stop apologizing for this country.
Nope. So first of all, we need to speed you up because I desperately need you to sound like your brother. If you don't, then this video is just not going to do it for me. I need the lines between Ben Shapiro and Abby Shapiro to be so thoroughly blurred that y'all are indistinguishable from one another, okay? Okay, cool. Secondly, stop apologizing for America. So wait, hold on. If our country does something that negatively harms another country, and the nationalistic way our country tends to do, we should not apologize for that thing that our country did? Really? That's an interesting take. I'll try to remember that the next time I've harmed somebody or caused them grief, never to apologize for that because of some weird chauvinistic predilection of mine. I'll try to remember that.
What this country stands for and the foundations on which it was built are incredible things.
Yeah, one of the foundations was slavery, Abby. Come on, do better.
We live in a country that was built on freedom and liberty. And even though there are things in our past that were...
It wasn't built on freedom for brown people. I'm sorry, Abby. Don't do that. Also, Hersh Rodinger, thank you for cheering. Thank you for the 100 bits. I appreciate it. Band of the Husbando, also, thank you very much for resubscribing. Look, Abby. Great. I can't actually. Hold on. It's not going to do. We have animals. Truth be told, Abby, Ohio Cheese Bandit, thank you very much for the follow. But truth be told, freedom? Look, I like freedom as much as the next person. I value freedom greatly. But to say that America was built on freedom is kind of a misnomer. Every country that has ever been built has thought that it was built on a particular kind of freedom from a particular kind of oppressor, but on the basis of freedom, on the like general idea of it, that feels more like the myth America uses to sell its people, not in the way it used to sell people or buy people. That was different. That was a different example. But it's more of the myth that America sells its citizens so that we believe that America is the only nation that has freedom, despite the myriad of other countries you can go to, especially in Europe, that have the exact same measures of freedom we do. You can go to Japan and have a fuck ton of freedom in Japan. There's lots of countries you can go to where you have a fuck ton of freedom, And in some cases, you might even have more freedom than the United States. But uniquely, the United States is a country that has based its entire mythos on the idea that we are the axiom of freedom.
We're not proud of. We can say that this country and what it was trying to accomplish, we are proud of. So I think it's really important that we stop apologizing for America. America is not a bad place to live. It's not a bad country. It's an incredible place to live. It's an incredible country. And
if you have lots of money. That's the weird thing. Like, when you say America's a great place to live, it's a wonderful place to live. Okay, cool, but that's not unique. There's a lot of places that are great places to live, and arguably, there are places that are better to live when you have less money. Most people in America do not have enough money to live a comfortable lifestyle in America. Arguably, it would be better for me to take everything that I'm doing and go to, say, Thailand. It would be way more cost-effective for me to do that, to go to a different country where the cost of living is incredibly low, make the same amount of money that I make here in the States, but make it in a country where my dollar would stretch infinitely further. When you say America's a great place to live, where in America are we talking about? And what benefits are we talking about that are uniquely American? Sure, there are worse places on the country to live than America, or worse places in the world to live than America, but that hardly seems to be a point in anyone's favor. I don't care that there are worse places in the world, and I don't care that America is considered a good place by your standard. Abby Shapiro has a fuck ton more money than I do, or arguably most people do in the States. What makes this country wonderful to live in for Abby, and what makes this country wonderful to live in for the average person, are going to be two completely separate things. But this is a common theme in a lot of things on Abby's channel. They are very, very vague platitudes that are thrown at you, and you're supposed to just smile and nod. I think Vosh was right when he said that Abby Shapiro was a psyop. Also, Fire Sparks, thank you for redeeming your points for an ara. You fucking degenerate. Also, Relicta Ambroy, thank you for redeeming your points for an owl. And Party on Gendron, thank you for the follow as well. Let's continue.
I'm done apologizing for it. If you think that loving your country, being patriotic for your country, means that you're ignoring any of the problems it might have had, then you're wrong. You can love something and say, I'm really proud to be an American, without constantly having to sit there and apologize for the problems that it has had and that it currently has. The fact that...
No, I disagree with that statement. To say that you can love something without recognizing those things and constantly recognizing those things are there, I think is incorrect. I can say that I love our country, or rather I love the ideas that our country is supposed to stand for, but recognize that it doesn't actually stand for those ideals. I love the idea of everybody having personal freedom and the ability to attain the American dream. The problem is, not everybody can obtain it. Necessarily, the way that our American color of capitalism works, we cannot all make it. Functionally, literally. Capitalism has to be built off of the backs of someone. As a result, not everyone can make it. You will always need people in the lower paid positions. And if they're not in those positions, if they are not there, then you don't have things like the infrastructure that you generally would have here in the States. If you have businesses that are constantly trying to claw for the next dollar and their profit margin, necessarily people's lives are going to be part of the conundrum when it comes to talking about budget cuts. Necessarily, not everyone can make it the way that our country is set up. To say you love America, you need to be very specific. Do you love what it is right now, or do you love what it could be, or do you love what it stands for? When you just have the vague platitude, you have what's called a thought-terminating cliche. But that's the entirety of what Abby Shapiro's channel is built off of, these thought-terminating cliches.
That we are constantly having to apologize alongside being proud of something is ridiculous. Number 2 is go shooting. Celebrate the Second Amendment. We are very blessed to live in a country that arms its citizens. The fact that we are able to have that Second Amendment, to own guns, so that the government isn't the only one with those weapons, is an amazing thing.
Cool. This is at least a point I can agree with. I am for gun ownership. I'm also for gun control. I would like there to be responsible gun ownership, and I would like guns to be a thing that are better regulated in the United States. But going out and shooting a gun, boom. If this is a way to celebrate being a patriot, I guess. Again, that feels very, very vapid. guns are not a uniquely American thing either. There are plenty of other countries where you can have guns. Hell, as long as you can prove that you have a reason to own one, you can have a gun in places like Germany, and there's no problem with that. Again, you have to actually show that you have a reason to have one, like, say, hunting, but I don't find I just wanted to have one to be a great reason to own a tool that's only job is to kill people. If your reasoning is self-defense, then sure, that's a wonderful reason. But let's go on.
If you want to hear more about this,
Yeah, please. So she's not going to specify at a shooting range, and I actually agree. So here's my reasoning. I live in the woods. I can go outside and I can fire my gun into the air. I can fire it at a tree. I can fire it into the woods blindly, and I will hit nothing and no one because there's nothing and no one here except trees, turkey, deer, and coyotes. I specifically, because of where I live, I don't need to go to a shooting range to fire a weapon.
actually, I would recommend checking out JP Sears' channel. He recently did a video where he apologized for previously being in favor of gun control and now being pro-gun. And I think he really describes why it's so important that we, as citizens...
Wait, JP Sears? Are we talking... Hold on. Is JP Sears that parody channel? Hold on. Let's check here. Awaken with JP. Yeah. JP Sears, the fucking parody channel who slid down the conservative rabbit hole. The parody channel that slid down the conservative rabbit hole. This guy? Okay, sure. I absolutely love getting my my political talking points from parody channels. It's my favorite.
Have access to weapons. But also, outside of the really practical reasons why we should have guns, why citizens need to be armed, which, again, check out his video on that. I'll link it in the description box below. It's really, really good. Shooting is a sport. Shooting is fun. It's something that you can do as a family. You can go to the shooting range and learn how to shoot well. It's also a really important thing for self-defense. As a woman, I think it's a really important way for me to defend myself, given that I will never be as strong as a man. So having access to a gun...
Did you catch it? Did you catch it? Did you catch the dog whistle? I caught the dog whistle. Given that I will never be as strong as a man. Really? Really? One, wonderful way to admit that you're weak shit. Two, plenty of women can become as strong, if not infinitely stronger, than the average man. It's called just going and working out, and specifically doing strength training. You can become that strong. You have the ability to. This biological essentialist bullshit doesn't do anybody any good. And I think it's hilarious when you just weave it in there. You got your pro-gun talking point, and I'm ready and willing to agree with literally everything you say here, and then you do the sharp turn into transphobia. You did it. Congratulations. Get wrecked. Thank you very much for redeeming your points for an owl. Shapiro's a transphobic big shock. Yeah, I know. Big shock. Huge if true.
Is something that allows me to protect myself. So as a real American, we should celebrate our Second Amendment. We should understand why it's so important that American citizens can own guns and own them responsibly, instead of ignoring how important this amendment is. Number 3 is post one of your beliefs on Twitter. Now, I think it's really important to celebrate that we have...
No. How about don't? How about don't? Literally, your point here is just start a fight on Twitter. Because when you post one of your beliefs on Twitter, you will necessarily find people who disagree with you, and then you'll get into a fight with them. I don't suggest that for anybody's mental health. By all means, have your beliefs. Feel free to say them in any form you want. I'm not going to stop you. But I will say this. Twitter as a platform is toxic and not good for your mental health. No matter what belief you put up there, people are going to find a way to jump on it. But here, I will be that person. I will go ahead and post my belief on here. I believe abortion is good, actually. It's just stand your ground, but with a coat hanger. There. And now we're probably going to make somebody really angry on twitter.com. But we posted it. There we did. Myran says Abby should ask the Black Panthers how gun ownership worked out for them. Jesus Christ. Stand your ground. I mean, it is though. It is. It's just stand your ground with a coat hanger. That's all it is. No, not like that.
Have the First Amendment in this country, free speech. And I think that so many of us still feel afraid to voice our opinions because our friends, our coworkers may not agree with us. So I can understand why you may not want to share publicly what you believe. But if there is something that you believe and that you think you should share, do it.
Okay, cool. I believe trans rights are human rights. I believe that the proletariat should have ownership of the means of production. I believe that generally things are better when insurance companies are not involved in the medical process. I believe wholeheartedly that gun control is an important part of American culture that we seem to be throwing under the bus for no damn good reason. I believe that we as a country are built on the backs of bigotry and slavery, and people don't want to admit that because it makes them feel icky about their heritage. I believe 110% that anybody can be a VTuber who wants to be. I don't believe they have to even like anime or its subculture to be a VTuber. They merely have to engage in utilizing the aesthetics. That's what VTubing is. It's not necessarily VTubing culture, but it's what it is. You can do it. You have the ability. There. I've just thrown a bunch of my beliefs out there. Congratulations, Abby. We followed you. I'm a real American patriot. I did it. I did it. D's one big dumpy. Thank you very much for the follow.
Today is the day. Real Americans embrace free speech, and not only do they embrace free speech, but they embrace free speech for the people they disagree with. And that, I think, is the biggest difference. Real Americans know that we all have the right to free speech. It's not just the people who I agree with. So write something that you believe, and maybe hop over and see what other people are saying. And thank God that you live in a country where people can disagree with each other freely and openly.
So it is interesting, though, that we don't talk about the nature of the things we don't agree with, right? So there's a difference between you saying, I like blue, I think it's a good color in Magic the Gathering, and me going, I don't think you deserve human rights because you're a blue player. I think that's a perfectly reasonable statement. Both of those are. What I don't think is a reasonable statement is when you happen to go on there and say, you know, I don't think the Holocaust actually happened, and on top of that, I actually think that Jews control the entirety of the world. And I think that since they control the entirety of the world, we should probably take the world back from them and oppress them accordingly. That's a statement that, should you put it on social media, I would think, no, we should probably just ban you from that platform for saying that, because you've outed yourself as somebody with Nazi beliefs. I think there's a line. And I think for every free speech absolutist, there's a line. And that's the awkward conversation that doesn't tend to get happen that much. Every free speech absolutist has a point at which they do not believe free speech applies anymore. Whether it be the line, the vague line of you have freedom of speech but not freedom of consequences, or the line of you should not be allowed to incite violence. In any case, there is a point in time where a free speech absolutist has a line that they will not go further. And this is the point where we have to understand that free speech is not a binary thing. You don't either have free speech or you don't have free speech. You have a percentage of allowable speech. And people always end up somewhere between 0 and 100, but I don't believe anybody sits at 0 or at 100.
I just popped down the exposure. I didn't realize the lighting in this room has changed a bit throughout the day. So now the picture looks a little bit better. But number 4 is gather in prayer with your family. Real Americans love that we have freedom of religion in this country. So
cool. Freedom of religion means we have freedom from religion as well. Why would I gather in prayer for a religion I don't believe in?
Gather with your family, say a prayer before you eat your July 4th barbecue, and thank God that you live in a country that has so many different people with so many different religious beliefs.
Cool. Including the religious belief of not... So it's okay. How to celebrate July 4th like a real American. Get together and pray. That's your header. And I know that the argument you're making is essentially a backpedal from there. Everybody has a wide variety of religious beliefs. Okay, cool. That's fine. There are people who don't. And necessarily, they won't be able to be real Americans in your eyes because they don't want to sit around for prayer.
Recently, Jacob and I had a get-together in our backyard with our friends. We had Catholics, we had Protestants, we had Jews, and that is the beauty of this country. Last but not least, to celebrate as a real American this July 4th, sing some patriotic songs. American songs are the greatest, and I absolutely love singing.
Are they? What do you mean by Americans? Are we talking about country? Are we talking about... Is that what's happening here? And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I think I'm free. And then I watched some Fox News where Tuck can cuckold me. There, I did it. The great American song sung by me. We did it. Am I a real American now? Did I do it? Did I manage to be a true American?
Them. They're so beautiful and the words are so meaningful. So get together with your friends and family and sing some American songs. I'm sure you guys know a lot of the lyrics and you know the tunes, so it shouldn't be too difficult. And really listen to the words and think about how you have experienced what these words are expressing.
So turn this into a book club. Turn listening to this music into a book club where we think about the indoctrination that's been shoved under our throats. You know, I'm actually okay with that, but I don't think that we're going to have... I don't think we're actually going to have the same result here. See, when you listen to those words, you're probably going to hear, ah, man, I love America. Isn't it so wonderful? Listen to this celebratory music. And all I'm going to hear is, ah, yes, the propaganda is blooming well this season.
Because we are lucky to live in this incredible, beautiful country. And a real American knows and appreciates that we have the opportunity to be here.
A real American knows and appreciates the opportunity to go to DDLG Playground and use coupon code Suris to get 10% off anything there. That's what a real American does. A real American knows that they can get anything from, cute outfits to lingerie to butt plugs over there. And they can even get fuzzy handcuffs. There's even like a whole starter kit you can get there. There's all kinds of stuff you can get. And if you use coupon code Suris, you can get that all and be a real American and celebrate that you were able to do that. Unless you were in Texas, where you're only allowed to have a certain number of dildos. You see, dildos in Texas are controlled more than guns are. But that's a topic for a different video. Completely. Wait, really? Yes. And I believe the number is 6. You are legally allowed to have 6 dildos. But you're not allowed to have more than 6 dildos. If you have more than 6 dildos, that's considered a crime. Toy limit in Texas is still stupid? Yes, it is. There's zero reason for it. But here's where I have to throw it back to you guys. What do you think of Abby Shapiro? Do you think you're a real American? Do you think she's given you any evidence as to what a real American is, believes, or thinks? I want to know, because from my perspective, this sounded like a bunch of vapid nonsense. Oh, boy. We have the responses to the tweet. This is how you can be correct and wrong at the same time. Generic angry reply, generic angry defense. That was super cringe, Suris. Yes, it was. It was all very cringe, but that was kind of the point. That was all kind of the point. Said, wait, it's 6? Not where I am. It's 9 where I am. But anyway, let me know. Oh, that's right. You're talking about the... Yeah, you're not talking about time. Oops. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments section below. I know for my point, I think that this is more vapid stuff from Abby, but it is what it is. You let me know. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. Maybe check out DDLG Playground or even my Patreon. Those would both be awesome. And as always, everyone, insert end of video tagline here.